see now the presentation. So this is way back in lesson 7, approaches to language teaching and learning. So approaches in learning learning language and learning with the methods how we teach language to various types of learners or with diverse needs. Okay? So we have here grammar translation approach. So grammar translation approach, the keywords, this is accuracy is emphasize so grammar translation is accuracy. And then the thing about grammar translation approach is that when the target language is taught, okay, I when I no no when the target language is being learned, okay, it is taught in the vernacular. Okay, so for example, when we learn about the structure of English, we learn it using our native tongue, either Bisaya or Filipino or Tagalog. So that's why it's called grammar translation because the grammar structure, the patterns of the target language is being taught in the first language. Okay, so that is grammar translation approach. And what is important here is accuracy. Excuse me. And then the second one is direct approach. So when we talk about the direct approach, instruction is exclusively in the target language. So I remember my days when I was still in college. We have this subject translation. So part of the journey is learning Spanish, Spanish language. So we have a teacher who is a Filipino, but the thing is, when she taught the subject, okay, that was in broad Spanish, you know. So talking during much and us not knowing the structure, okay, not knowing the rules, the grammar, and so on, naglisod gid mi ng struggle. So that was a challenge for us also because we were taught in direct method, so or direct approach. So the best thing also is to really learn Spanish in a way that we can understand and use it directly in our class. Okay, so in the same way, when we teach, for example, a certain subject, okay, using direct approach, we use the language, okay, the target language of that, the target language, okay, designed for the class. So, for example, if it is in German, so the class will be in full German because uh, the teacher or the instructor uses direct approach. Okay. Then we have next audiolingual approach. So when we talk about the audiolingual, it relies heavily on drill. So repetition. So it is anchored actually on behaviorism, no, more on behavior. So drills, repetitions, drills make the learning process when it comes to acquiring the second language more effective. Okay, that's according to the audiolingual approach. Excuse me. Okay. Next is the silent way. So when we talk about the silent way, it's to avoid the use of vernacular. Okay, so this is actually a different technique when it comes to teaching the target language. Okay, because it has a different approach. It actually considers this approach, the silent way, considers the learners or the students as child, okay, as children, okay. So it is more on like having some colored rods, may mga colored rods, and then by the time that you will be selected using your color that you have to uh, interact with the class using the target language. And the keyword for this is to avoid the use of vernacular, okay, or the native tongue. So that's the silent way. Next is community language. So here, for community language, learner is not thought of as a student, but as a client with needs, okay? A client with needs. So there is what we call concerted effort. Okay, it requires concerted effort from the community, and when it comes to dealing with communicative situations, the community is taken as an important partner in the learning process of acquiring a target language or a second language or foreign language. Next is the total physical response. So total physical response, these are actually more on imperatives. So imperatives like more on commands. No? So this TPR is usually how we know, used as an approach more on physical education classes. No, so uh, even in language classes like sit down, stand up, okay, so and other commands or imperatives, okay, just to make sure that uh, the, the students or the learners understand, okay, what they are doing. So these are more on commands or imperatives. Okay? So teaching language, okay, a second language is more on commanding or having imperatives. Next is a suggestipedia. So suggestipedia is just is a method wherein in a classroom interaction, okay, music is a key factor that facilitates the learning process of acquiring a target language. So in any interaction, like for example, like there would be a music, a very mellow or soft music, and then uh, the teacher will let you, okay, try to imagine that this is you are in a place like this, so on. Okay, what you are going to do. Okay, so it would stimulate it would stimulate like reflective thinking, and this reflection, okay, will compel the students to share about their feelings. You can see the target language. Okay, so that's just to be. Then next is communicative approach. So when we talk about the communicative approach, okay, the end point of this is fluency. Okay, so fluency is an important dimension of communication. So communicative language teaching method or communicative language teaching or CLT. Okay, it has components. Remember, linguistic competence, social linguistic competence, discourse competence, and strategic competence. So all of these, with their individual uh, roles and functions, uh, when a student or a learner, okay, uh, is being developed using communicative language teaching or CLT or the communicative approach. Okay, the goal is to become communicatively competent, okay, or fluent. The last one is the task-based language teaching. Okay, so in TBLT, okay, the thing is the central component of this approach is task. So students or learners are required to perform a task. So in this task, the tasks are divided into three phases. We have the pre-task, the during task, and the post-task. So with the performance of each task, the students will require to use the target language in completing each of the tasks. So these tasks will require students maybe to use their speaking, writing, listening, speaking, viewing, and interpreting skills. No? So their literacy skills, not just the macro skills, but the literacy skills, because literacy skills, excuse me, is different from the macro skills. Okay, so Uh, Technically, task-based is uh, more on task. So it is considered as student-centered. Okay? Communicative approach, it is student-centered. Suggestopedia is student-centered. Total physical response is teacher-centered. Community language is student-centered. The silent way is considered as student-centered. Audiolingual is teacher-centered. Direct approach is teacher-centered, and grammar translation approach is teacher-centered. Okay, so about this language teaching and learning approaches. Okay, so whether it is a second language or a foreign language, they have specific role. So it doesn't mean that it is teacher centered. It is not effective anymore. It doesn't mean that it is student centered. It is effective always, no? So let us remember that each of these approaches has their own way of delivering the purpose of acquiring second language or a foreign language. So depending on the context and depending on the characteristics of the teacher and the students, okay, you may still they will be able to still you can still use these approaches, okay, as way to somehow deliver and facilitate the acquisition of second language or foreign language. Okay? So, uh, are there any questions or clarifications about these approaches to language teaching and learning? In your notes and in your exam. Okay? Wala na yung pangutana? Questions, clarification. So, about your final exam, okay? About your long quiz, so there would be, I think, 30 items, 30 items na multiple choice, 10 items na identification, 10 items na true or false, and then 10 items na matching type, and then essay. Okay? So, essay. Two questions for the essay. Okay, yes, Karil.
What about the sir, general approaches po? Katong functional.
Ah, wala na ko siya na na-include. Actually, those are just just for philosophy, uh, each approaches. Those are quite very broad and difficult really to implement. So the thing is, we focus on these specific approaches because they have their own utility, and it's easy to spot the weaknesses and the strengths of each of these approaches. But the thing about the general approaches, okay, it sets the tone of how these specific approaches were developed and derived. So, for example, we talk about functional approach. It could be that the grammar translation is part of that. Okay, direct approach, it could be also part of that. Audiolingual, more on behaviorism. Okay, behaviorism or behavioral approach. So silent way, it could be tawag nito, wala man natunapil ang pragmatic approach, no, sa general approaches to second language acquisition and learning. So but anyways, I'm not keen on putting those general approaches in your exam din naman kasi even me, no, I'm quite confused on how each general approaches were cascaded to these approaches. So kaya nga ang finocus ko dito is yung mga keywords to this specific approach because these are really important when it comes to second language acquisition and learning.
coverage sa long quiz kay lesson 8.
Yeah, lesson 6 to lesson 8. That's also the coverage of our final exam, no? So, uh, I suggest that so that you will be guided, no? I suggest that pakayunin nyo sa inyo ang mga classmates ng mga na-facilitate sa lesson 6 and the lesson 9 ang ilang mga lesson guide. And they have to go there with, I will get the contents of your long quiz and in your final exam. Okay? Na ako'y na wala pa na ako na kompleto nun, pero wala nakasubmit, wala nakasubmit o ilahang lesson guide. So, you know already what will be the consequence of that if you did not submit. Better to be late than no submission at all. Yes, Nerissa.
Good morning, sir. Gusto nyo tanabuhan sa Google. Nagparitas po sa environmental first as a factor.
Okay. Environmental factor. Okay. So ako ang dali na lang ako isulat, no? So, environment, learning environment or learning environment. So, learning environment is composed of three broad aspects. So, three aspects. We have the physical environment. Okay? Tingnan ako isulat. Ako na sa i-discuss. We have the physical environment, and then we have the we have the academic environment.
Psychological, sir.
Yeah, the psychological, no? Psychological.
Yes, sir.
Environment. Okay. So, what do you mean by physical environment? Okay? What do you mean by physical environment? So, when we talk, ako na lang siyang i-compile ha para mo mag-guide. Okay, wala mo din ka facilitator ating. Okay? So, what do you mean by physical environment?
Mo ba ng mga classroom, sir?
Okay. When we talk about learning physical environment, it is the
materials po, sir.
Okay. We talk about anything about the physical aspect. We have materials, building, classroom, so technology. So all of these constitute the physical environment. Even the teacher, okay, or the instructor is part of the physical environment. So any physical aspect that would help the students learn and master a target language, in this case English, then those are part of the physical environment. So again, these are materials, building, classrooms, technology, the manpower or the human resource that includes the teachers, okay, the instructors, and making a conducive, so conducive environment, learning environment is just one aspect of it is physical environment. The second one is the psychological environment. So when we talk about the psychological environment, okay, it includes the attitudes, the values, the characteristics of both teachers and learners. So if we have a very good atmosphere, psychological atmosphere wherein there is cooperation, there is pleasantness, positivity, encouragement, motivation, good way of projecting self-esteem among the teacher and the students, then this contributes to the idea of conducive learning environment. Okay. The next one is the academic environment. So when we talk about the academic environment, these are the learning strategies and uh, the learning styles, the teaching method, the teaching approaches, methods, and techniques. Yung tinakal natin kanina na mga approaches to language teaching and learning. So those are actually part of the academic environment. So this contributes to the idea again of conducive environment. So this is what we're talking here is in the context of in the context of second language acquisition and learning. So yun lang, yun naman talaga yung punto ng environment. 3 types of learning, broad aspects of learning environment or environment, okay, in second language acquisition and learning. Okay? Any questions? Clarifications? Questions? Clarifications? Wala na? Sige. So this time, I'm gonna send, a Google Drive link wherein all of you will upload. You must use your DNSE email to access this one. If you're not able to use this one, sa GC ko na lang sa Messenger ko na lang i-send. So wait lang muna ha. English 211 Google Drive link for class facilitation, presentations. Okay, so in our GC, in Facebook, na diri ang nabutan na nako ang Google Drive link. Upload your presentations. Okay? So, kung gusto niyo i-upload inyo ang lesson guides, you can do that also so that your classmates can access also this at the same time the lesson guide and the PowerPoint presentations if you are kind to do it so. But ang compulsory lang is ang PowerPoint presentation. Upload it here so that your classmates can access it and use it as a review materials for you, okay, for each of you, okay? So questions, clarifications, if there's none, okay, I'm gonna send now the link to the attendance page. Yung sa nakapag-drive. Lapit pa ba na? Concern. Kasi na yung concern. Yes. Karel.
Pwede po ba i-mandatory na lang ang pag-post sa lesson guide, sir? Kaya ang uban man gud dili na ma-chatan good tapos dili nila makita. So wala may material na sa studyhanan po sa ilang topic.
Okay, sige, no problem. Okay, sige. I will require everyone to please upload your pero kasi yung uploading doon is from the midterms since our first topic. So, kamo na lang arrange siya. So, pwede ninyo inyong lesson guide pwede na to na midterm lesson guide and then underscore the topic and then name of the reporter in the topic and then finals lesson guide and then name of the facilitator and then the topic. So ikaw na lang akong ani Karel, i-take charge to do this one, okay? Remind your classmates to upload.
Okay po,
Okay,
sir.
okay.
Okay po, sir.
Sige. Upload your your lesson guides coming from the so ang bound pwede niyo magamit ito is ang sa finals. Okay, but all the lesson guides and then actually naman sa akong email no but it would take time for me to call isa-isa so kapoy kaayo daghang kay kong email na tabun-tabunan na no so much better na diri na lang sa Google Drive ninyo i-upload na lang. Okay? Sige.